Hello and welcome to the Learn How to See Better podcast, the only podcast out there known to actually improve your vision the longer you listen. This is your host, Drew Davis, and I'm glad you've joined me here today. I can't wait to share some great information with you about how to improve your health, wealth, and relationships. So let's get right down to it, shall we? Hey, what's up? It's Drew, and welcome back. And I wanted to share with everyone something that had been on my mind. Just today, I was thinking about this whole process of learning that we all go through when we're actually learning something and when we're kind of moving forward, moving through undergoing the process of not knowing to knowing and that struggle to the conquer. And it actually brought me back to a time in my youth when I was going through the motions, and finally starting to see some of the results. And I remember, I think I was a sophomore in high school, and we just finished up wrestling season. Yeah, just finished up wrestling season, and the crazy part about it is wrestlers, we go through it. Our cardiovascular training is second to none, pretty much. And so I was in pretty good shape. And no sooner than the season ended, I still had a weightlifting class in high school. I think they called it systematic conditioning or something to that effect. And basically what I saw was the compound effect from training so hard with wrestling. You kind of you go harder and harder and harder as you approach the state tournament, which is a little bit different in some sports. You actually will go through the process of getting in your max conditioning and then backing off and kind of cruising through the rest of the season. So I found that a lot of the lifting and the exercises were really starting to build up and pay off. So even though you might feel like you're in the trenches for some period where you're not able to measurably track progress because you're just effort, pouring out expenditure, what you'll find is when you take a moment to actually lift your head up and realize what you've accomplished, not too quickly, but after you've been in it for a little while, you'll find that, oh my goodness, there's been a lot more achievement here than I've maybe given myself credit for. And I remember in my scenario, it had to do with weightlifting and being able to tackle a specific exercise goal. Back then in high school, the guys want to be all braggadocious about the bench press, and especially when you're talking about your upper body strength, it's about reps on the bench at 225 pounds. Can you do a rep? Can you not? How close are you? And that was really something that was reserved for the upperclassmen, the big guys, the big men on campus. So to be able to be in that category and actually compete would be quite the feat for a young lad such as myself. And I remember looking at this particular milestone as just something so elusive because it was intimidating. It was like a psychological barrier to which that, many a guy had tried, many a guy had failed and got pinned under the bar trying to get this kind of weight off their chest. So we're talking, 15, 16-year-old kids here. So it's not for the faint of heart. But I remember the first time I got under that bar, gave it all I had, and wouldn't you know, the walls came tumbling down and I smashed through that physical milestone, 225 pounds on the bench press with a good, clean quality repetition for the first time ever. Boy, was I elated. It was so empowering just to reach that milestone. But what was more amazing than that was the fact that I shattered that milestone again and again over the next month or two. I was just amazed. It was though as once the big domino had fallen, everything after that began to fall in rapid succession. 5-pound, 10-pound increments. And I mean, in a matter of, weeks. And it just blew my mind to see, oh my goodness, I'm now able to really push on because I felt limitless partially. And number one was the fact that, all season long had really been getting after it. And you get something, an intense focus for 3 months, 4 months, 90 days, 120 days, you will start to see a result in your output. And that's kind of one of the things I wanted to share is essentially the fact that my experience has been one of the fastest ways we can actually learn or accelerate our learning is through just deep immersion. You think of even children in bilingual schools, right? I can speak to my kids in Spanish and they can just respond in Spanish. I don't have to tell them, hey, little guy, I'm going to say something to you in Spanish. Be ready to try and comprehend and process it, okay? No, it's second nature. It's ingrained at an early age, which is so much different than taking a semester of a foreign language, once per, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade is just an example. So what I found is that you really start to get into a groove, and even present day, I remain involved in programs to help accelerate my growth. And I found that the most rapid progression comes when I get completely immersed, deep immersion in the exercise, the activities, the practices and thinking and taking action that will grow and expand me at the maximum rate possible. Because it's only when we hold on to the thoughts and habits that have brought us up to this point, it's only when we keep holding on and fighting for those things do we find ourselves challenged or limited in our ability to break through that which we're learning how to break through. It's almost backwards. Like if we hold on to the thing that got us to where we are, and we won't let go of it for a better upside, a better future, then we're really kind of hamstringing our own efforts. You're trying to have your foot on the gas and the brake at the same time. What kind of sense does that make, right? So at the end of the day, I think that it's pretty important that someone can really take ownership of how quickly they are able to, especially developing a new skill. One of my mentors told me once, you can make up in number what you lack in skill. And I thought was just so genius. So if you're not good at something, you can just make up for it in repetition. Not good at free throws, shoot, 10,000 of them. And I bet you'll probably get better. So those are just, simple scenarios when you're looking to develop and enhance your current skill set. There is a way to be able to make that really bump up to the max. And I think the secret to that is just simply that immersion. And you'll be able to measure it in your own life. Don't believe me? Give it a try. See what you can accomplish. And you can potentially do wonders for yourself as you look to level up. And I wanted to share that with everyone for the main fact that, hey, if this is learning how to see better, I want to make sure you guys have those tips and some of these common things and these common areas that many people think are, this stuff might be for the birds. It's important to take a moment to revisit some of the ideologies that may be in our heads now, because they could be the things holding us back from getting to where we want to go in life. So until next time, this is your host, Drew Davis, thanking you all for joining and can't wait to catch you next time. Thanks. Well, all right. That was some great content, wasn't it? Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad you liked it. This is your host, Drew Davis, and I want to thank you for listening to the Learn How to See Better podcast today. And don't forget to subscribe and tune in for future episodes, and be sure to share with a friend if you are enjoying this content. Thanks, and see you next time.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.